B-Bad and Brandon. 3, 2, 1. Well, that's the official start of the podcast, but we started earlier with some great chat. Welcome back to the Platform Podcast. We are your hosts, Brandon Greco.
Johnny B-Bad.
And we are joined by, I don't even know how the words to explain this guy. He's an exceptional human being. The good-looking rooster that he is. I'm going to go back to exceptional human being because he is.
Larger than life.
What'd you say?
Larger than life.
Larger than life character. That's a great one. That's a good one. I feel like you should have introduced him. I just realised you've known him for way longer than I have. Mr. PJ.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very, very excited to be here today and to be sharing some time with you boys and just talking all things that we love. And that's anchored by the one thing we all love, which is lifting, right? Love it.
How good's lifting?
The mighty squat.
Yeah, I mean, it's the engine room of everything that's good in life, I think. You know, that's what I try and get about as a general rule. If you're lifting and you're feeling good about getting up in the morning and chasing that as a goal, everything else for me is just sort of usually fell into line.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, bro.
Now, before we go any further, look
good
at me.
pickup.
Look at me.
Oh, bro, you're podcasting today.
I am. I'm on. Because after this, we got something like to very much else to talk about.
Do we?
Yes. I'm going to give a big shout out. So you go. You go.
Yeah, right, okay. Mr. PJ, big question. Like, I lied when I said we just fluffed around. This is deep question. 21 words, who you are, what you do. We're going to count all the words, the sounds, anything that comes out of your mouth, starting now. Brandon counts them.
Well, I'm an ordinary bloke. Great deal, great energy for life.
It's 11.
Love food. Love people.
It's 15.
Love working hard.
18.
And love adventure.
Oh! That was phenomenal. I don't understand why no one else is clapping. Jason, thank you. That was that's actually our best. That was brilliant.
Way better than Luke's.
Shout out Luke Polly.
Big
That was
dog.
amazing.
I haven't seen Luke
Second
for a
to
while.
Ed's.
Ed's was the best by
Oh, I
far.
loved. Yeah, he was very.
Did you listen to that
good.
one?
I listened to
He
them
just
all.
gave us the bird.
Yeah,
Well, he's earned that right.
yeah, exactly. When you squat 462 at 100 kilos, you can do whatever you want.
You
And
can.
470 high or something, but he doesn't count it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's an incredible human being.
What a weapon. Yes.
Now, just before we continue on with the incredible PJ, I just want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Johnny B-Bad, finally hitting that $120.
Whoop, whoop.
What
Thickness. I mean,
I'm going to keep that.
120. Whew.
yeah, that's a big life
A lot of
goal.
sandwiches went into that.
A lot of sandwiches.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm proud of you.
Yep. No, it's good. I'm very happy about it.
You
don't
look good at
happy.
$1.20.
I did
everybody-
just do night shift last night.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm
This
very
is like-
happy about it.
I don't know
but-
if this is. I can't decide if this is the morning or the afternoon.
Well, it's your morning. It's our afternoon.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Yeah, because you look like that double shot espresso you just had.
There'll
was
be
like-
another Red Bull.
Yeah, there'll be. There'll be more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's got him into about second gear, I reckon.
Yeah.
He's got to work
He's
his
got to
way.
hit his top gear yet.
Exactly.
Are you training hard tonight?
Yeah. Oh, always. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I want to pull a heavy conventional. Yeah, that'd be
Ooh.
good.
What's that, PJ? You coming back?
Yeah, cool.
Well, when you say heavy conventional, you know, I haven't seen that much from you on the conventional deads. It's more on the sumo sort of things, and
That's what I think. It's important to switch it up, test yourself.
Absolutely. That could be worth waiting around to watch.
Look, after this, we're only going to talk shit for probably another half hour.
Perfect.
That's what we do anyway.
It's what I do best.
But that's a good, like, talking about conventional deadlifts. If I'm not mistaken, you hold a few world records in the deadlift. I know
Yeah.
in GPC and the weight class and
WPC.
age. And WPC.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. I've always sort of found the deadlift a good sort of exercise for me, a good lift, and I was always sort of curious around it when I trained outside of before meeting Johnny. In fact, it probably takes me back to a very, very good story when I first met Johnny. He saw me. I was actually training at a gym just down in New Farm, and I'd only recently moved to Brisbane from Sydney, and I didn't
okay.
know that many people around, and I was always keen on my lifting. I'd say I wasn't keen on this type of lifting that we're familiar with. It was more bro lifting, get in there and do all the things that you can see in the mirror. Anyway, I saw some people doing these deadlifts one day, and I thought, oh, they look interesting, and I thought I'll have a crack at that. Anyway, a few weeks passed, and I sort of got up to it was maybe not very much weight, but Johnny had a crew of people that he was training at this gym, and I always looked across and I thought, oh, there's real good culture there, and I didn't know how to introduce myself to the team, but I knew I wanted to be part of it. I was training at similar time frames, but I just didn't know how to go over and introduce myself. Anyway, B-Bad obviously could see that I was interested, and one day he sort of wandered over and he said, he introduced himself, and he said, look, can I help you with your technique? And I was very keen on that for obvious reasons. Anyway, he made a couple of little adjustments, and I went.
We pulled more that day, didn't we?
Yeah, I think I was at about 150, and then he got me to 180 just in one couple little moves, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is brilliant.
I want all of this.
Yeah, if this was a game of poker, I was all chipped in. I was all in on the river.
Rom-com right now. This is amazing.
I was all in. Anyway, from that point, B-Bad said, look, the group trains, on a Saturday morning. If you're keen to come along, there's you're keen to get you, to be part of the group. And the rest is history, to be honest with you. I sort of started turning up and doing a lot of hard work. I mean, it was not sort of didn't shy away from work, and that was one of the things that sort of struck me about what the team was. That work ethic. Yep. Just sort of met some really amazing people. Mm-hmm. Some have been featured on the podcast before. Pete Baskerville and obviously some of the other guys. But the one thing was there was a really good culture, and the culture for me was just everyone wasn't necessarily concerned about what they were lifting, even though that was the end goal. It was about how they could help the team. What could they do to sort of, to raise the spirits of the Saturday morning? It was amazing. Met some amazing friends. Like over the last 5 or 6 years, even some have moved overseas, and we have a very strong connection, and we still communicate, Sim, and some amazing trips, that we've done to go down to to titles down in Sydney and what have you. Yeah, brilliant.
So when was your first comp?
Look
at that smile.
Didn't you compete after that? We're going to get you ready for like a little daddy comp or something.
Yeah,
it was like a novice one or something.
It was actually. It was a novice comp down at down Newstead, Newstead, and and I think it might have only been 2 weeks after that I sort of officially joined up, and and I did that comp, and I think I did a 190 kilo deadlift, and I thought, oh, this is great, I'm pulling more weight every week, and it was just great. The actual encouragement from the community, which is another massive thing that I love about this sport of ours, powerlifting. Everyone's just so committed to wanting to see people do well, and the thing that often I think about in great detail is, it's such an individual sport. It's you under the bar, but the thing that's very counter sort of intuitive to that is that, when you turn up to a comp, everyone's there, they're screaming for you, they want you to do well, and there's such great camaraderie, and to me, I just love that. It just makes me just want more.
When did you first start lifting, bro?
Oh, look, I was a skinny kid at school.
Yeah, we all were.
Yeah, I was. I was a pretty
good. Don't go back
athlete.
through my Facebook.
Yeah, I was a pretty good athlete at school. Played a lot of footy, and also from an athletics perspective, always wanted to compete, and had a lot of successes as a younger kid. But then I guess I didn't necessarily grow like a lot of the other kids my age did. Right, I'm probably a bit late going through the puberty, whatever you call it. But anyway, my mum, bless her soul, she always said, Paulie, your time will come. I was sort of okay with that until I wasn't.
I just want to be fucking bigger.
I could see all the other boys getting the girls, and I was like, why aren't I shy? Anyway, what's wrong with me? Anyway, I thought, I think at school, Australia, whatever maybe other areas as well, there's a tall poppy syndrome. When I was a good athlete at school, there was always that bullying thing going on. Anyway, I found that if I could get into the gym and start doing a little bit of work, just get a bit more self-confidence. And when I was, this is going back 25, nearly 30 years ago, but I was all bro lifting. Like what can I see in the mirror? I had a massive chest. I could, but
you could push a bit of weight back then.
I could
on the
push
bench,
a bit of
couldn't
weight. Yeah, I could. I don't know what's happened on that front.
3 plates or something?
Yeah, something stupid. But I never really, all I was interested in was what I could see in the mirror. I had great buys and I did a lot of shoulder work and chest.
You still have great buys, just want to point out.
But I tell you, I didn't do any leg work at all.
It was an allergy, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
The analogy.
But I did find a big passion for strength and conditioning, even in that bro mentality.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you always were ripping in that.
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it, and
I don't think I've known the short time that I've known you. I don't think I've ever known you to not rip in. That's probably.
You train at any cool gyms down like back then?
I've got a couple of great stories.
Commercial gyms back then,
no. Well, probably one of the most interesting gyms I ever trained at was a gym called Powerhouse, and it was the gym that was owned by Parramatta Rugby Club.
Yeah, right.
Right, and one of the guys, in fact, I met my best mate at that gym, Ollie. You've met Ollie,
yeah.
Right, and anyway, the gym was a real sort of dungeon type of a setup, right?
Sick.
It was your type of gym coach, no question at all, right? And there were some pretty, high profile rugby players.
Yeah.
Peter Kay was probably the highest profile. He ran the gym. They called him Chewy for obvious reasons, but he played I think 8 tests for Australia at tight head prop for the Wallabies.
Damn.
And looking back on it, I think I look back on it now with great memories, but also with a little bit of regret. And what I mean by that is that whilst I was bro lifting, they were doing these things in the corner on squat racks and stuff that I was like, what's going on? But if you roll the clock for what they were doing, exactly what we do now.
They
were doing big, heavy squats with knee wraps.
Yeah.
And Peter PK Chewy, he was like a box, a human box. he could bench 240 or thereabouts. Jesus. And he was a big unit, right? A big unit. But it was all about that sort of powerlifting mentality.
Yep.
And if I sort of if timing was right back then, I might have had a bit of an expressway to what we do today. But I didn't have to wait till I met Coach Bad, which ain't a bad thing. It's a great thing.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. Where else did I try? I mean, I've sort of a bit of a journeyman when it comes to gyms, but when I find somewhere that I feel comfortable, I like to really sort of lay my swag down.
Yep.
And so I spent a lot of time at that gym. Made a lot of good mates at that gym as well, and I mentioned one of them before.
It's still around, isn't it? Or
I mean, I'm not sure. It's down in Sydney. I'm not that sure where it was. I was working in Parramatta at the time, which is Western Sydney, and it was just easy for me.
Yeah.
And I played a bit of rugby for the Two Blues.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think it was great for me on a whole lot of levels. They had great equipment. It was old school. At the end of my session, I could walk upstairs, the internal stairway to the Chinese restaurant upstairs. I could smash a massive Chinese meal, and I could go home and I could go to sleep, and I didn't have to worry about anything. So it was like it was everything that a young bloke. It was everything a young bloke needed. And it was a good culture, There was there weren't too many big heads around, and it was again just very inclusive, and I loved it. Yeah, really good.
What position did you play footy?
I played a lot of positions from sort of 5'8", but I'd spent a lot of my time, my senior sort of rugby, playing sort of on the wing or fullback.
Yep.
But as a junior rugby player, I played a lot of my junior rugby with some very famous ex-Wallabies like Matt Burke.
Really?
Oh yeah. We played. We had an unbeatable rugby team when I was probably 15 years of age. And I used to do a lot of little athletics with Matt. We were sort of very similar, same age, but we were always, fairly similar, track and field, what have you. Anyway, Matt was just a super talent.
What was it? He was
an epic athlete. But I always remember when we won the state championship when we were playing for Eastwood, and Matt, I think we were 13 or 14, and he kicked a goal to win us against, I think it was against Warringah actually in the final at TG Milner Field at Eastwood, and he popped one from 57 metres out as a 13-year-old. That's how good he was. He just he had everything when it comes to an athlete: timing, poise, and he was pretty classy bloke too. I'm sure he still is. I don't know if he lifts like we do, but
Mate, just a big hats off to you for understanding the rules of the ruck and rugby union.
Yeah, I don't know if I understand them anymore.
I played for 5 years and I still don't understand it. Yeah. Do you follow much of it now?
Oh look, I don't. I actually find it a real sort of. I think it's lost a lot of gloss for myself. Mm-hmm. In saying that, my older brother Anthony, he sits on the board of the Rebels, so he's been very heavily involved in them the last couple of years. I used to work in recent years with Pete Hines, who was ex-Wallaby. I think he played 17 or 18 tests for Australia, and worked very heavily with him over at Tech One, and good bloke. And we used to talk rugby, but I think from a technical perspective, and just from a punting, watching, I just want to watch a game, right? It's just hard, right? There's a lot going on. Whereas I think, rugby league, for me, it's just an easier sport to watch.
100%. You just won't talk about how your team's going.
Oh, well.
Who's your team?
I'm a
no better than my team, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm a Dragons fan, so we're in the trough of disillusionment at the moment, and I think it's going to take a long time to climb out of that.
You do realise we support the Broncos, and they just get...
No, I'm off them.
That's right, you're the Storm now.
Yeah, fuck them.
Well,
I'm not a winning team.
I will say this, I did watch the first half of that game on Thursday night, and I went to bed at 18:06, and I thought they can't get beaten from here. And then I woke up, I think at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I thought I'll better check to see if they got home, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they lost. But anyway,
I don't think anyone could believe it. Oh wow!
So what got you up to Brizzy, bro?
So I moved up to Brizzy because I'd been working down in Sydney, and when I had reached a point, I'd started a business, an IT services business, very successful sort of business for us. Rapidly grew over 5 years, and we reached a point where we sort of had to make a decision. Do we get some more people in to sort of help grow the business, or do we exit it and go our own way? We were lucky because a Malaysian company came along and they looked at our investment memorandum and they said, look, we're keen to buy the whole lot. And I was very happy at that point for a number of reasons. So we exited that business. But at the same time, the company that I work for now, Tech One, we're a multinational enterprise software company, and they were looking at sort of changing their business model. And I had expertise from an entrepreneurial perspective in the business I'd built in what they were looking for, which is obviously cloud-based software. So they sort of been chatting to me when we were sort of going through our exit process, and timing wasn't right. But as it turns out, it did end up getting to a point where it all sort of gelled. So Tech One's headquartered up here in Brizzy, and I came up to join Tech One coming on 7 years ago now. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Just flowing as the GM of their cloud business. And they said, look, we don't know what this looks like, but we'd like to get your help on building building it up because we think it's a real big part of what our future is.
Smart call.
Yeah, as it turns out, it's been super smart call. It's just been a great journey. So came and helped build that business, and obviously getting up to a place that's obviously got great weather, and I just think for me as well, apart from the work thing, Sydney was a really tiring place to live. I've been there. I've lived a few other places around the place and what have you, but it was time for me to leave Sydney. In my heart, I wanted to sort of try something new. Everyone's got their hand out in Sydney. It's a hard place. It's hard to get around. I think it was just a real sort of tipping point, perfect storm, whatever analogy you want to use. But as it turns out, I love Brisbane. In fact, I would never in a million years want to move back to Sydney. I actually identify well more with Brisbane now for a whole lot of reasons.
We'll get you that Queensland jersey if you can.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'll go that far. It's hard to get off the winning streak. I mean, maybe,
here we go.
I've got to try and get a bit more winning streak back, right?
Yeah.
But that's the Brisbane story.
Sweet. And what's your role now at T1?
So I'm the general manager of global sales for Tech One. So basically, I run our go-to-market, which is essentially driving our revenue for the business. So we split the go-to-market into three main components, which is a regional. So if you're obviously in Brisbane, you've got a regional manager who runs the regional number. An industry. We actually specialise in key industries like education, local government, health and community services. So you'll have an industry sales director and then a general manager of product. And so we all sort of work together to meet the objectives of our revenue objectives. Yeah,
Tech One's just growing, right?
Well, it's an amazing story, Tech One. I mean, I got to say,
two guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just I'm blessed to have worked there, or to have worked there and worked there. It's a great culture. I actually love the culture. You got to go and get it at Tech One. No, it's not going to be given. It's not going to be given to you. But that's again, that's one of the things I love about it. But a great story. I mean, Adrian DeMarco, the founder, he's an incredible human. I think he has the ability to see things well before other people do, and he's always had that gift to be able to sort of get us into the next technology when we need to, so that the business keeps going forward. But yeah, I mean, we hit 3 billion market cap the other day. So employees, 1,200 people globally.
Wow. And it started here in Brizzy?
Yeah, Brizzy. We started in a hide factory. Basically, Adrian creating software for people to be able to run their general ledger, and then from there it grew, and he's we listed at 30 cents, and then it's gone to $10. So yeah, I started it 7 years ago, and we were at $2.34. So just you can see the growth over even 6 years has been phenomenal.
The PJ effect.
Oh, I'd like to think so.
30 cents when you were there, and $10 something now, eh?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. But it's like anything. It's not about the individual. It's about the team. And I think at Tech One, we've got a great team. There's not a lot of ego down at Tech One. I think everyone sort of knows what their position is, and everyone sort of executes to that position. And I think irrespective of whether you're in business or sport or whatever, if you actually know what your role is and you're working on delivering to that role to the best of your ability, everything else just works out. And that's what I've seen very clearly with what Coach Johnny does. There's a plan, and we work towards that plan on a weekly basis. We try and achieve little things, just move the needle a little tiny bit each week, each day, and you can do great things.
The thing I wanted to bring up was, I know you've got such a big important role, awesome family, but yet we're still turning up to the gym 3 to 5 days a week when it's time to crank it. How do you find the time for it? How do you make it fit?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in my psychology, there's a little part of me that says that if I can find the time to train, I can find the time to do everything else. And you know, it sounds fairly simple, but maybe it is that simple. I think that, you know, you'll hear a lot of people talk about no excuses and rah, 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 but I've always found an anchor in training. And if it means coming up, and you've seen me do this plenty of times, Johnny, come up and do a 15-minute session, because that's all the time that I've got. But I'll come and do a 15. Yeah. Whilst I'm juggling a telephone. But if I can find the time to do that, I usually find that everything else sort of fits in. And it's been a real strong anchor for me on a whole raft of reasons. But yeah, you know, I think it's a really important part of who I am. I love it. I identify with it. I like feeling strong. I think that's a big part of me feeling good.
When you said that it's part of your psychology, when do you think that began? Like, when did you start realizing how important training was?
Yeah, well, you know,
because I've been in, you know, seen some of those sessions when you're in a meeting on the phone and then you put it on mute, hit a set, and then go back.
Yeah, I always realised, you know, probably I talked about like my early sort of as a kid and what have you, and probably participating at a fairly high level of sport. That you have to put the work in. So I always had a pretty good work ethic from a young kid. You know, that was probably honed from a family perspective. My dad was always he was always a pretty had a strong work ethic. You know, he was always up and early, suited and booted out the door. But he always found time to do the things that we needed. You know, from a family perspective. And I realised really early that, you know, success doesn't come because you just sit back and you might be super talented, you know, but if you don't do the work, you're not going to get that outcome. And I probably realised that because at times maybe I didn't do the work and it didn't happen. And so yeah, I'd say inherently from an early age, Brando.
You don't really seem like a competitive bloke, as in the sense of competing against others. But you really are like just yourself. You're competitive with yourself. I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Which
is obvious, but you don't strike me as a person that's going out there to beat the next guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think from my perspective, I probably compartmentalise certain. Obviously parts of my life. Work, I have to be uber competitive because obviously I work in sales and in many ways you can probably draw parallels to what we do here, right? Or if you don't hit a number in sales, you can't hide anywhere, right? You don't hit your number, you haven't done your job. And I think if you come back to lifting or what have you, if you don't you execute on your program, you haven't done your job. So I think competitive, I think, you know, compartmentalised into, well, work I'm super competitive because I have to be, but I think on a personal level of my personal goals, of which, you know, training and lifting has been a big part of it in recent years, you know, I'm competitive with myself, definitely. But I want to see everyone do well. And when I say that, I love it when people become as enthusiastic about it as what I am. Yeah. I love it when people sort of say, oh, you know, I noticed that you go and train and that you're big on it. Where are you going? Can I get a bit of that? I mean, that to me is just sensational. You know, there's been a few people at work who've sort of said, you know, have joined our community as a result of that, and I think there's no greater compliment than that.
Been swept up in the tidal.
Yeah,
they've seen what you've got, and they want it.
I love how you continue to draw comparisons, like, you know, from your business life and work life back to training and vice versa. And like, you honestly clearly believe that what we do in here transfers out there dramatically.
Brando, I don't think there's any more truer statement. Right, and I think that if you, as I said probably a little earlier, I think if you find the time to put in this type of an environment, you know, what it shows as a human being is that you're going to find the time to actually do what's required to be successful in work. This is not easy. What we do, you know, and I'll tell you a little story. And coaches, I've told Coach this story as well, but one of my very dear mates, Matty Ryan, he's a super athlete. He's an Olympic silver medalist. So he won silver in Beijing in the men's 4.
Oh, wow.
He said to me one day when he was watching some of our videos, and he rang me up, he goes, PJ, it's amazing the intensity of which the community that you're with is training. You know, like you're civilians. Like, that's what, you're not elite athletes. You're not. It's not your job. But he goes, I can see that's why, there's success, because you're training like you are elite. And we have that mindset that's created through what you boys do, the community that you have, that actually, that gives you the belief that if you're going to achieve, you got to have that mindset where you got to do the work, right? And whether when you're doing the work in here, I think that just translates to what we do outside naturally. It's a natural progression to, okay, well, if I can see the results happening in here, and I'm doing the work, and I'm going to face adversity at times as well. I mean, this is no cakewalk. We get our injuries, and
it's so true though. It's like the shit we do in here is pretty damn hard, and it's like it's a very quick response. Like, it's hard and you feel how hard it is, whereas things out there, they can be hard, but they can sneak up on you a bit slower. So I feel like once you just adjust in here, you say, oh, this is pretty hard, but I can handle things out there. Because this is an intense, this gets hard quick.
Yeah, I love
you
what
get to
you
an
just
8th
said.
rep on a deadlift and you still got 4 more to go and you're like, God damn it.
But I love what you just said, I mean, the fact that it gets hard in here, but there's the sort of the support, and there's
Coach B-Bad yelling at you to go again.
Yeah.
It always helps.
Wanting his people to be the best that they can be, and that doesn't mean quitting.
Big calls it the last set mentality.
Yeah.
He goes, if I can get through this 5th set, you fucking give me Johnny. I can get through anything.
And you know what?
There's nothing harder in here. There's nothing harder out there than in here.
Yeah, I love that, and I totally agree with it. I think that to me probably sums it all up. And when you walk through these doors, you know what your job is, you know what you got to do, and you get it done. And that gives you a great amount of belief, I guess, that you can do things outside as well.
Yeah, but can you just imagine if everyone took that same mentality into their work? Like, okay, here's my role for the day. This is my intention for the day. Same thing in here. This is my intention for this set. This is my intention for the session. This is my intention for this training block. This is my intention to get this goal. Imagine if people did that in their work.
Yeah, I think it's like a bell curve in my view, right? Like, I mean, where we're sitting, we're probably at the right hand side of the curve. you got a lot of people in the middle that sort of might turn up once or twice and what have you, and then you got other people who just don't really care. But I think people who are trying to squeeze as much juice out of the orange as they can. They know that they're doing the little things right. They've got a great mindset. They know that things aren't going to always be easy, but they know they're going to continue to just push forward because of what it means to them and what it's going to give them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of entitlement, to be honest with you, in the powerlifting community. I don't see, in my experience, that there's a lot of people who just think because they have a name or they come from a family that they're just going to... Because you can't. It just doesn't translate. You got to do the work, right? But outside of the gym walls, I see a lot of entitlement, at work, just in general life. People just thinking, oh, well, I should have access to that. There's no access to a 256k deadlift unless you've done bucket loads of volume and you've worked towards that goal, right?
That barbell don't give a shit.
No, it doesn't.
Who or what you done
I agree
outside of this room.
I agree with you very much on that. Probably slightly disagree. I think there are people in the powerlifting world, and I think just because I'm so bloody exposed to it, there are entitled to it, but then they find out real quick that you can't be. Like, as you said, it doesn't matter what your family's from, you still got to lift a barbell.
Barbell doesn't care.
Barbell doesn't care how much is on the bar. If you can't lift it, you can't
like.
lift it. Yeah, yeah, that's the best thing. I love that. I love that when people come, it's like, I've had a bad day. It's like, cool.
Who was it? Who's the quote? 200 pounds will always be 200 pounds.
I'm not sure who that was.
What's his name? Fuck.
I know.
Yeah.
Chase,
awesome,
you're on that.
Awesome quote.
Thank you.
I really wish he said more than 200 pounds, but...
Yeah, in my brain, when I worked out what 200 pounds was in kilos, I was like, oh, that's...
But the quote is blah, 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 but 200 pounds will always be 200 pounds.
Yeah. That's like, and just the entitlement thing I think gets me because I see it more in my generation. And then I unfortunately get I'm a bit younger than both of you, and I get roped into that generation where it's just like, again, it's just a small sample size of a bigger sample group, really. Like, at the end of the day, you got to put in the work. That's what it comes back to.
Yeah, absolutely, Brando. And I think when you sort of try and get it to the lowest common denominator, that's it for me. And I love that. Then you can translate that to the bigger sort of picture and what you want to do outside of here as well.
What do you? It's a little bit change the subject for you there, but do you enjoy being a master lifter? Like, do you like the fact that we're all getting a little bit older, but you've now just got this place where?
How old are you? Sorry.
Oh, I'm 47. 47.
If anyone's watching YouTube, who guessed that?
No.
You literally look like you're maybe 39, mate.
Thanks, Brent. I love you. I'll pay you later. But I guess I love the masters. I guess aspect of lifting. I love that that it gives you access to. I guess a forum where you can compete in a way that still enables you to feel as though you're a chance of driving that agenda of goals and whatever, if winning or whatever it is, and I think that again, it also for me, it means that it's not just about now, but I think about you mentioned Pete before, and I think about like the idea of. What will I be doing? To chase the things that he's set up for us as masters lifters. In the time ahead. So I think it's brilliant. I love the masters aspect to lifting. Love it. Yeah.
It only gets better, doesn't it?
It does.
There's something. Oh, cool! I'm 48 next year. Sick. There's some 48-year-old records. My Gloss Brenner changes a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly
on that
right.
list that Gary Jones puts together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, haven't I met some amazing masters lifters? Through the community. I mean, Gary Jones is a great example, and I always look at his social stuff with a huge amount of admiration, and I think to myself, it's that type of stuff that again, it's it's motivation, it's peers doing things that make you want to be better, and you look at that and you go, hey, this is what it's about, Pete, Gary, and just there's so much knowledge and wealth there. And the other thing I love about the Masters as well is that I find the appetite to share information and be not to be selfish. It's a genuine. People want you to be better, but particularly as you get older, I think people want you to want to be able to share their knowledge. It's a part of being older, right? You want to be able to sort of say, hey, how can I help someone? What can I give back? And that's what I love about the Masters. I see that very heavily. People wanting to give back and just giving you a little tip here, or trying to just give you a little bit of a steer, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of experience to be gained from looking at the the legends of the past type thing. Terence Titus is one of my favourite old man lifters. What is he, 65 now?
I think he's 66, bro.
65, 66, and he pulled 305 in that last Capo comp.
Yeah.
Just
been doing it since he was
20
or 3 or something.
A long time ago.
I'll tell you a story, if I may, just quickly.
You can tell anything.
I went
it's your
to
podcast.
coach when I sort of got into the lifting in the early days, he said, we're going to do a comp, and it was out at Springwood. Do you remember this one, Coach? It was out at Springwood. It was at the Springwood Tavern. Yeah, it was my first States, and I'm like, yeah, okay, we're gonna have a crack at this. Anyway, we turned up to this tavern, and there was the room was set up out the back for the powerlifters, but at the front you had all of the sort of the traditional sort of tavern drinking, beer drinking, cigarette smoking folk around.
That's it.
And the warm up area was out where they were doing their business. Anyway, the long and the short of it was a very long comp, and I loved it. I was hooked. I loved the actual the competition and the energy. But coming back to Terence, he turned up that day, and who was the other one? Dave
Palmer.
Palmer.
And he pulled something.
He might have pulled. Anyway, these two blokes, they turned up and they just pulled these massive deadlifts, and I was starry-eyed, and I couldn't believe it. The guys that were that, that they were, it was just amazing. But Terence, it was an inspiration back then.
Mate, he's just a freak.
Well, he's got hands like baseball mitts.
Mate, they're bloody
they are
insane.
massive hands.
I know, even obviously for those listening, he's a chiropractor.
Get Titus on here.
So, we got to get Titus.
Yeah.
That'd be one of the funniest. Have you gone and seen him at the clinic?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's an experience.
It is an experience. Like, obviously, he's got those big hands that just dig in and get into those things. But
I need some of those right now.
I tell you what, the best. I think he was playing Christian rock in his clinic, and just
of course he was
bopping along, singing along to it. I'm like, this guy is 65, 66 years old. He's I think actually he pulled 275 for triples the previous night on a squat bar. And
in his garage.
It's 8:30 a.m. of a morning and he's just bopping around like he's got no care in the world. That guy is just insane.
Yeah.
And then Dave Palmer, pretty sure he pulled 350 at 90.
Yeah.
95?
I think he did, bro.
That's
close enough to it.
That's insane.
It's hard for me to sort of translate.
No one was pulling those kind of weights.
No, he was very he was early on, and
fucking forearms.
If you ever seen his legs,
no, they're on his forearms.
Exactly. I remember his back was just
it's like a set square. It's just a massive V, right?
But if you look at all those, that's a really good segue from Terence, Palmer, all those old school early on legends of the sport in Australia. Massive backs. If you're wondering why your lifting's not going well, look at your back. Yeah. Do some chin-ups. Do some heavy bent over rows. And just pull some unreal deadlifts. Every good lifter has the biggest back I've seen.
Well, I have
Scott Wasson.
Wasson, massive back.
Mate, he's got no arms.
Just to watch him, down at Valhalla I've seen him get to work a few times, and I've been in awe of him. He's an incredible.
My new favourite saying is, if Scott Wasson can squat 295 with legs the size of my arms, I can do anything. So,
yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, when you're 140, you'll squat that easy for 5.
If I'm 140, I bloody hope I squat more than 295.
Oh, you will.
When I'm 140,
exactly right. Let's get that right. What's over the years, obviously, a few injuries. What's one of the biggest challenges you've had to sort of overcome, bro?
Yeah, look, if I think about the biggest challenge, it would definitely be I had a cerebellum stroke. Which was a huge shock for me. And
How long ago?
Oh, this is going back 4 years ago. So this was right in the sort of the sweet spot of me finding my love for lifting. Something happened. We don't quite know, but I had a dissected pica artery, which the pica artery runs up the back of your skull and into your neck, into your skull. Anyway, the long and short of it is that it was pretty bad. I was at work actually, and I had a full stroke. I got carted out on a gurney by the ambulance, and I'll never forget it when the ambulance said to me, they said, "Oh look." In between me being violently ill, they said, "Look, we've got to get you to the hospital. Can you stand up and get on the gurney? We'll get you there now." And I tried to get up and I couldn't feel my legs. I said to him, I can't. And then I can't feel my legs. And I knew at that point that there was something wrong. Fuck. Anyway, so they got me down to Royal Brisbane Hospital, and they did some tests and put me into the machine where they sort of they do all the dye tests on
MRI.
Yeah, the MRI. And anyway, they got the results back initially, and the registrar came in. He said, "We think you've got a little bit of what do you call it when you feel not steady on your feet? Vertigo. And I knew I didn't have vertigo. I knew something was desperately wrong.
It's not fucking vertigo.
And I was very, very. So cerebellum controls your speech, your movement, your balance. So I felt like I was in a washing machine. It was like I was just being tumbled around. It was a horrible experience. Anyway, within 2 minutes of the registrar telling me he thought I had vertigo, the head of the head neurologist ran in, Dr. Richard Wong, and he said, "Mr. James, you've had a cerebellum stroke. We've got to get you upstairs and get you medicated. They can give you some medicine to try and sort things out." And it was actually a big relief for me because I knew what was going on. Anyway, it took a little bit of time to get over that. But that was probably the biggest challenge. I'm blessed. I'm absolutely blessed in terms of how it's all worked out for me. I don't have I've got a few deficits. I've sort of mixed words up at times. I'll tell Alice to put her dishes in the washing machine when I'm in the dishwasher, or I'll call Alice, Ange or what have you. But at face value, I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky. But that was a massive, massive challenge, yeah.
Bloody hell. And so how long were you out for from lifting, work, all that sort of stuff?
Well, lifting,
because
probably...
knowing you, as Johnny said, your schedule's crazy.
Yeah.
And for you to take time off is unheard of. And
to
be putting the brakes on, far out.
Well, I didn't really put the brakes on, to be honest.
We had you back pretty quick.
Yeah, I just...
Not doing much, but...
No. And I think that was maybe one of the things that I found was really, really, I guess, handy in my recovery. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be that person that was, okay, I've had a stroke, it's all bets off. I was like, what do I need to do? And I worked with Johnny, and we worked on very small goals. What are the small goals that we can achieve that can get the ball rolling again? And I think it just each week turned into a bigger goal. And then once the neurologist said you're okay, so the artery's healed, then we we set our bigger goal, which was competing at a legit 3-lift competition. And that was sort of the approach.
The love of the squat game.
Yeah, absolutely, the love of the squat. Actually, absolutely, Johnny. We probably didn't do any other thing than squatting for a year. That's all we did, right?
Pretty much.
Deadlifts and bench were probably just a little bit of a difficult exercise for me and what have you, but the squat was something that I could do and I feel confident with. And so we sort of put a goal in that we wanted to hold. The goal was we wanted to hold 10s to 200, and we got up to 10. We held 10s at 180. And then we went 6 at 190, and then we just worked out we weren't getting 10s at 200. But again, that's like a little bit of a view of the goals that we put in place, Yeah. Johnny, that's what Johnny does super well. He actually helped me focus on not what I didn't have, but what could we achieve, that would help the bigger picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was an epic comeback.
Oh yeah,
it was definitely not a text I enjoyed getting from Ange that. Whatever day, afternoon that was.
Well, you and Bob, you came down, and I'll never forget it, Coach. You came down and you saw me in the ED, and it was a very humbling thing, to be sort of lying there, not knowing what was actually going on or what the future was, or there's all sorts of stuff going through your head at that point. In my head, I didn't at any stage think that this was going to be something that was going to stop me. I knew that I wasn't well. I knew that it was probably pretty bad. But then when Coach turned up, the Coach is brilliant. He bought me some food and all the good stuff.
Brought you a sandwich?
Well, he did, yeah, absolutely. Muffin and Bob, and that's the type of community sort of attributes that I'm talking about. And to be able to know that you're part of a community that cares, you want to get back and you want to contribute to that, right?
Absolutely.
In whatever way you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an incredible human being.
Yeah. I don't think
and then we went on to what did we hit? What's your best numbers now? What have we hit?
The biggest numbers that we did, we were all there actually. We went over to Perth for that epic tournament. And I tell you what, I look back on that.
That was one of my favourite weekends in lifting.
What a comp.
Yeah, we set the target and we headed over there and it was amazing. That tournament, I look back on it with.
That's the comp where PJ got a haircut at Muscle Pit, even though he had just got a haircut.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what a weekend that was. You know, going down to Muscle Pit, and you know, I had no idea. I mean, obviously, I knew of Dylan Hellregal, but you know, to be able to walk into Muscle Pit and Hellregal's there, you know, training and other just massive humans, and you know, again, when I talk about no ego, you know, I had a great photo with Dylan, and this is before he actually won the Arnold's a year or so later.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and she's on my Insta feed, that photo, and I've had a lot of people just go, that bloke is massive, because he literally, and I'm not massive at all by any stretch, but you know,
Still
I'm 6'1",
and 90
yeah. But in saying that, he made me look like a dwarf, you know. And
imagine standing next to him now.
Oh, you know, it just, yeah. I mean, but that trip was pretty special. So I think the upshot of that, we went 2:56 on the dead, I think.
Yeah, for the
world record.
Australian record.
Aussie record, that
yeah,
one?
missed it. We went
to
2:60.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So we didn't even know the records existed until we looked at the wall.
Yeah, I know. All I remember, I remember a lot from that weekend.
2:56 was more than what we even went. We went for 2:50 that trip.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. It was, everything sort of worked. It was.
I just remember, because that was your third attempt at 2:56, and I just remember seeing Johnny piss bolt straight to the table. Go, no, you do the last attempt. No, fourth attempt.
Yeah.
That was an insane trip.
It was. I was always going to be taking the fourth attempt, but there was a very, very small window in my mind that sort of said, "Okay, do we go through another massive backslap?" Because let me just say, B Bad did not miss me at all for 4 consecutive lifts, and I'll tell you, there was a pretty nice handprint that was left for about 4 weeks afterwards on my back. But no, it was an amazing setup. I love the way that was sort of cast as well. You know, that people over here in Brisbane and Sydney could watch it, and that's something that I love that you guys have brought to your stuff in recent times as well. And let's be honest, I mean, this is a sport that's growing, and you know, the technology is, you know, everyone's so interested that you can. I love watching lifting. You know, I love to be able to put something on and watch a live feed of people just going berserk. Find myself screaming at the TV.
Does anybody remember that name? Because for those listening, if you're ever in Perth, what was that Chinese restaurant we went to? Do you remember? Anyone?
I don't.
It was one of the best feeds I've ever had.
It was a good feed, yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I still don't think they could comprehend how much food we slaughtered that night.
Well, actually, no.
They kept looking at us when we wanted more, didn't they?
It was. Oh, because we went and it was in that like hideaway.
Yeah,
we were like, because I was staying with you, B. Oh, we were all staying together, and we're all like, "Where is this place?" Yeah. And I don't know if we drove separately or PJ.
We got put in the private room before he got there.
Yeah, that's right. And then we were all like, "Where is this place? We can't find." And it's just like a little hideaway that opened up to like people probably feel at home. It looked like some triad bloody.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I was expecting a bit of opium poppy out the back.
At home.
Yeah. Looking back, it's like that little nod.
Over his shoulder.
But we smashed some food that night. And that's one of the other things, you know, just that I love about lifting. I love food. I mean, I am unashamed about the amount of food that I love to eat.
What's your favourite food?
I like... what's my favourite food? I'm a massive fan of Asian food.
Yeah.
I love Asian food. It doesn't matter what flavour Asian it is. I'm big into chilies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love a bit of chili. But you know, anything that I can wash down with a decent red wine, I'm a fan of. And lifting sort of gives you, as you get older, gives you, you know, that ability to just keep eating, and your metabolism's obviously great, and I love it. And obviously I got coaching me saying, you need to eat more.
That always helps.
Oh, well, I mean, that's I think we need to make a T-shirt out of that, right?
Actually, that's a good T-shirt.
You can never eat enough.
Fuck no.
Never.
And one of the things I know you've been getting into a lot lately is the and thanks to you, we got to have Johannes on here, is the Wim Hof. And the breathing and the cold water stuff. What's that to you like these days? How important is it?
Oh, Coach, it's massively important for me, and I think if it's either, you know, breathing or if it's cold therapy, it's a wedge. It's something for me to be able to find, you know, that I can use as a tool to basically drive my mind in a better way, right? So yeah, I love it. You're right. You know, the Wim Hof breathing for me has just been a revelation. I love the idea of being able to feel. You know, supercharged, you could say, just by a very simple sort of 15-minute breathing process. So I religiously try and do that, once a day, and I find that it helps me on a whole lot of levels. The ice bars, I've been missing them with this whole sort of COVID thing. I haven't been able to. I've been taking cold showers. It's a bit of an oxymoron in Brisbane.
It's a weird cold shower. It's not cold, is it?
Exactly. It's a lukewarm shower, but I have missed that. And I'm looking forward to getting back to the cold bars. I love that idea of just trying to find something that's going to help with your mental performance.
Kind of use it as another anchor in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an anchor, Brando, definitely.
Do you breathe every day?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, like the method, sorry, or
I do,
or some variation of it?
I do the Wim Hof method every day, and I usually do it in the morning.
Yep.
And I usually do it when I get home after walking the dogs, right? But I find that for me, it makes me just feel, as I said earlier, supercharged, and it's just an easy thing to be able to do.
What other anchors do you have? Because I know you mentioned training, you mentioned the breathing. Is there anything else that really just, if you're in, like, obviously with your job, bloody hell. You know, Johnny tells me you're somewhere else every other bloody nearly day, and
yeah, I mean the travel aspect to work is
got to get a bit
very
much.
challenging. It's challenging, but again, I love people, and I love actually trying to solve problems, and
Yep.
the idea of having to get on a plane and go and see someone to sort of talk about a problem and what we can do to help them, I think, is something that whilst it's onerous at times, it's something that I love.
Yep.
I really love. From an anchor perspective, I always I come back to food's an anchor for me. Like if I've worked hard during the day, I can usually find reason to be able to go and have a good meal somewhere.
Yep.
And that obviously is rounded out by if I've done my exercise as well, right? It's like a bit of a reward type of a scenario.
Absolutely.
Which I love. Yeah, but I can't get enough of a good feed, Brando.
Mate, I'm feeling a good feed. You and me. You, me, be bad. Let's go.
Oh, absolutely.
What's the next goal, bro? What do you reckon?
Oh, look, Coach, I think for me, I really do need to I'm keen to do another three lift competition.
With Brando.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think
I would love to handle the two of you.
Can you imagine that?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Oh, it'd be a dream come true.
Well, it will be a dream come true because my commitment is that and I'm on record here. I want to come back and really set myself for a decent three lift competition to qualify for something that's recognised amongst our community as as a special event. And sorry to use a poker analogy, but I'll be putting all the chips on the table. We'll go all in on this one, Coach.
Yes.
Can we please, when PJ locks in a comp, can you just let me know?
Which one it is and when you need to train for?
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking done.
We'll just look at the comp calendars for next year. We'll line something up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it'd just be insane. Like I've been very privileged and very lucky to be witness to some of your training and the competitions you've been involved in, and I just want to be around that energy. Can you imagine that? What's up? Bye. Oh, bye.
See you, Bob.
Bye, Bob.
You're gonna guaranteed to have a good training session with this guy.
Oh, it is like as you said in the very very beginning. Larger than life. I have never met anyone with the amount of energy this bloke brings to anything, any aspect. Doesn't matter if it's work, eating Chinese in some restaurant we didn't know existed, or bloody going ham on a fourth attempt deadlift for a world record. Like, it's just absolutely insane. Some of the best sessions I've had with old PJ.
Brando,
we're going to hug off air after this.
One of the things I love about what we do, and particularly our relationship, and I've been lucky to be able to train down at the Valhalla on a Wednesday when we were leading into that Perth tournament.
Oh, I remember those sessions.
That was that to me was just it was a real special time. You had some real big weights that we were lifting, but again, it was the camaraderie. It was the fact that we had a core group of people. Everyone was there to support one another.
Absolutely, Wednesday crew.
I am passionate about life. I'm passionate about what we do, and I think I'm passionate about wanting everyone to do as best as they can, right? And then whatever I can do to help out in that regard, I love it, right? Yeah.
I love that. You know, that Perth comp was one of the funnest weekends I've had.
It was cold, wasn't it?
That was I remember driving to the comp with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a ripping time.
Oh,
I loved it.
Love this guy. Oh, so good. Hit him, mate.
All right, Big PJ,
Strap yourself in.
you got 10 questions.
Let's do
First thing
this.
that comes into your head. Are you ready?
Yes.
That was the first question.
That's actually a good one.
Bam!
That's funny.
Where is the next place you'd like to travel to or explore?
Japan.
Ooh, have you never been?
Have been to Japan.
Thank you, Junior Burger.
Japan. Yeah, want to go there. I think from a food and a culture perspective, I don't think there's more crazy places to sort of to experience, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and they make they make great denim over there as well.
Great
Japanese denim. They're really they're amazing artisans of denim jeans. So
They like his jeans.
yeah, exactly.
If you could travel to Mars, but you know that you can't come home, are you going to go?
No,
Can you dance?
no.
What is 12 times 12?
144.
What sport or activity have you not done that you would like to do or wish to do?
Diving.
Yes!
I feel like he's told everyone that
You're coming. Now, podcast will finish in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Thereabouts. I have an elephant for you outside. I need it returned in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with this elephant?
I'm going to take the elephant over to our neighbour's place, Reese, and
Yep.
he's got a pretty crazy young fella by the name of Benson.
Yep.
And Benson is 5. He's got a serious amount of energy to him, and I reckon an elephant is exactly what he needs to be able to let me sit back and enjoy the
Have a nice
babysitting.
quiet
and
afternoon.
listen to the last 2 races at Flemington.
Oh, bro. Now, describe your life in one word.
Privileged.
Favourite sporting memory of yourself?
Perth, Perth, where we went that big total and won that GPC title.
Fuck yeah. Now, how long is a piece of string?
Fold it in half and measure it.
Hey, that's probably the best intelligent answer we've had on that yet.
That was amazing.
Except for Lily. She was very specific in how long it was.
Yes, that is true.
What's the last piece of music you've listened to, bro?
She's like, I chose it.
Macklemore. I got 20 cents in my pocket. I'm going to shoot some jam. I don't know, however it goes. Anyway, we'll listen to this more. It's Alice's favourite song, and I know I got it all wrong, but that was the last one.
That's amazing. Alice, jump up over here. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi.
And what's your... Oh, obviously, I just said your name's Alice. And how old are you, Alice?
8.
You're 8 years old, and you are... obviously, you don't know him as PJ. You're PJ's daughter.
Yeah.
Is he the best dad ever?
Yeah.
I feel like he would be.
Just tell him the truth, love.
What's your favourite thing to do with Daddy?
Sport.
What do you play?
Golf.
Golf. She plays golf.
She loves golf, yeah. She's a member at Indooroopilly, actually. She
Really?
can hit a pretty mean golf ball, Alice.
Wow.
Yeah, loves it.
How did you get into golf?
Dad.
Do you play a bit of golf, PJ?
Yeah, I do. Oh, well, I used to play a bit of golf, when I was sort of in Sydney, and then I found powerlifting, so there's no need to play golf. But I just think Alice, she loves getting out and experiencing walking and what have you, and she's got good hand-eye coordination, and she loves golf. So we thought, well, you have a crack at it.
Mate, that's awesome. And what grade of school are you in?
Grade 3.
Grade 3. Does Dad make you do all your homework?
No.
Ooh. We won't let the teachers know that.
Mum does.
Oh, Dad's the fun one, isn't he? Dad's the one that gives you ice cream before dinner, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a good dad, PJ.
Well,
Yeah.
same as mum. But
That's awesome. Are you going to start lifting like your dad?
you never know.
Oh,
You heard it here first.
the next world record holder. Yeah, mate. Well, thank you for joining us, Alice. You can stay here for the rest because we're about to wrap up. Mate, PJ, it's an absolute honour. Where can people find you if they want to? You can just stay like that, be bad. Where can people find you if they want to reach out and just have a good old chat? Because you're always up for a chat.
Oh, I love a
Does
chat.
Daddy talk too much?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, I'm just give me a call on the mobile. You get my number from Coach Bad, or just I think that's the best way to do it. But anything I can do to help in the community. If anyone's got any questions or whatever. I mean, as you said, Brando, I love a chat, and I'm love helping people and understanding what their goals are as well. Right?
Absolutely, mate. You're an absolute legend. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll put up your details again. Contact BBAD if people want to reach out. Maybe chuck your email up or something.
Absolutely.
And very special thank you to Alice for joining us at the end there.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And big clap on 3.
Ready?
3, 2,
Ready?
1.
Come on.
Where's the next mountain from 120?
There's
$1.30.
It just keeps. It doesn't end.
Yeah, and
Did you say diabetes? I genuinely.
Well, if that's what it takes,
Whatever
I
it
said
takes.
$1.30.
$1.
Whatever it takes.
That doesn't even sound like diabetes. Oh no, keep that all in. That was great content. That was awesome.